Everything has a beginning, and for international football, this little patch of green in Glasgow is the beginning. It is the cradle of the World Cup. Whether you believe in the story of Adam and Eve, whether you believe in the Big Bang, whether you think we're in a simulation, we have all had to start somewhere. Modern research indicates Scotland invented the game of football, creating a club in 1824 with John Hope writing his laws of the game in 1833. And Hope was very much on the agenda in the West End of Glasgow, as England took to the game with fervour and became a behemoth of the sport. Could 11 Scotsmen beat the mighty England? It is St Andrew's Day in 1872, and they've come here to answer a question that's been raging in the pages of the Scotsman and of the Glasgow Herald. 22 men lined up on this field, Scotland against England. But they weren't just footballers. Some were politicians, some were actors, some were soldiers, and sadly some would prove to be tragic figures. For the 22 players who played on that famous day, it wasn't to be all glory in the future. There was the tale of the English player who assaulted his wife with a chicken. And for Scotland, there was Robert Smith. He became a newspaper proprietor and was even elected to the Wyoming House of Representatives, serving 3 terms. He'd be at Gillette Stadium on the 14th of June. That's for certain. If somebody from 1872 came back today, how recognisable is it from back then?
For a start, Partick was outside Glasgow then, so you were out in the country. Partick didn't join Glasgow till 1912. At the bottom of the ground now there are flats where the ground extended all the way down to the street just across from the Borough Hall. I think now, obviously, there was a rugby ground here as well as the cricket, so it has changed a lot. 1 or 2 businesses around within the precinct as well.
In terms of the football pitch compared to the cricket pitch, you know, did they protect the wicket, or was it just get on with it, we'll play anywhere?
Well, contrary to rumours, I wasn't there. I suspect they will have done their best. They talk in many of the reports at the time about the slope on the pitch, which would suggest maybe up and down, although if we had a football pitch here now, it would be across below the cricket square. I suspect they were just interested in the rental for the ground on that occasion. And obviously it was a big occasion. It
was a huge occasion. I mean, there was, gentlemen were charged $1,
Yes.
Ladies were allowed in for free, but I mean, there was almost 4,000 people here. Tactically, this was a battle of the ages. England lined up in a 1-1-8 formation. Their strategy was simple: backing up. A test of brute force and individual dribbling skill. The Scottish side that day were lighter, they were smaller, they were more nimble than their English opponents. Their passing play were trying to catch out the men from the south, and here the combination passing game was born. Was the day to end heroically for Scotland? Well, it almost did. Robert Leckie fired in a shot and it brushed the tape that marked out the crossbar. Everyone looked to the referee, who said no goal. Scotland were going to get used to being disappointed at international level. There was no crossbars, there was tape.
Yes,
and the crowd thought that Scotland scored in the last minute, and to their horror discovered that they didn't. It seemed to set a tone for how Scotland were going to be next 100 odd years.
We eventually had an overhead kick goal recently, so that's helped.
There were some fun and games during the match as well. Take the case of England's goalkeeper, Robert Barker. He got so bored, he decided to come out and play outfield in the second half, and poor old William Maynard had to go and goal for England. The current pavilion here was opened in the 1920s, but does it sit on the footprint of the 1872 clubhouse? I mean, there was rumours that the England players, came to take of the pipe.
The earliest pictures of cricket in this ground actually tend to feature a marquee rather than a solid building, so I don't think this building was here in 1872. Clearly there was somewhere that they could go before and after a game.
So the game was played in November, and the conditions are described as heavy and difficult, which are probably typical Glasgow conditions for November when the rain falls. And looking over the ground, you can get an idea that it wouldn't have been the smooth surfaces where
nothing like. And you think back to games that have been broadcast on television over the years. I mean, it's not that long ago that football was still being played in quite muddy, heavy pitches. I think we can assume it wasn't a pristine surface.
The cricket club back then, when they were approached to host it, obviously their angle was financial. I think it was something like £20 for the rental of the ground, which was a massive sum
in those
back
days.
then. I mean, it was absolutely massive, perhaps around about £25,000.
Yeah.
I mean, if you had somebody offering you £25,000 today to play a game, I'm sure the answer would be yes.
Definitely, yes. As most sports clubs would probably say to you in this day and age. Yeah, I mean, it was a cricket and rugby club at that time. Cricket club, there had been cricket here before the West of Scotland club was established. There were A couple of sides had played on this public area as it was then, but the cricket club was here in 1862, the rugby club in 1865. I think even then running a sports club had its financial difficulty, and those haven't lessened over the years.
The spectacular side of football was invented here on a cricket outfield.
Well, if it was indeed invented here, we'd be delighted, yes. We were also delighted on the day of the centenary back in 2022 that the family of one of the Scotland players were actually present. The Taylor family. Joseph Taylor had been one of the Scotland players, the Queen's Park players on that day. And it was nice that there was still a link back to people who had played in that game.
And it was lovely too that on that 150th anniversary, Harry Kane, Andy Robertson were here. Do you feel that the football world has woken up to the historical significance?
Yeah, I think big events like that help in terms of reminding people. I'm sure lots of people all over Scotland, never mind further afield, perhaps weren't fully aware of the background. We had Alan McCoist interviewing Harry Kane and Andy Robertson, so I mean that's how you can't go bigger than that, can you? I mean,
well, we wish you well and wish you more visitors. They played for the love of it on that St Andrew's Day, the 22 men who took to the field. Those who'll take to the field for England and Scotland and the USA, Mexico and Canada will hopefully do the same. But will they think about the players who played on that day in this historic fixture, the birthplace of international football?